the Women Matters coming together only in 4 again, but other 4 than last time, and September 2025. Here is also Victoria, and we will see what we will be talking today. And as always, the weather forecast or report from Vienna, first thing.
Yes, the weather is fine, very nice September days. We had last night was a rather strange night with the moon eclipse, and I didn't sleep. I really didn't sleep well. So in case I doze off, don't be astonished. Yeah, what topic does interest me? Maybe we could just go through body, mind, soul, and spiritual aspects of the last couple of weeks. That would be my suggestion, but I feel I'm open to whatever it comes up. Okay.
And Gina.
Good morning. We are having a rather gray cloud hovering over the sky, and it's very misty on the water. That sometimes happens this time of year. But it has sort of a grayness to it. The positive thing about that is that it actually makes the flowers and some of the colors seem more bright. So dull sky, prettier flowers. Yeah, it's been an interesting summer here. We've had some unusual weather, which doesn't make us special. It's been busy, even though I finally finished school. So my great moment was finishing the last of my classes. And when I was asked last Friday what was the happiest day of your summer, it was getting my final marks. And knowing I'm done, yay. But now I'm on the research proposal phase, so that's just doing a few tweaks of that. Thank you, Victoria. Doing a few tweaks on that, and then we'll be getting it off and then off to ethics. So yeah. Otherwise, feeling well content, feeling a little mortal these days as I'm watching some friends pass away, but yeah, just otherwise very well. Thank you.
Victoria. We have to add that Rina is in Canada, Victoria is in the US and in California. Monia, you can see it in Vienna, and I'm in Italy. So we are again everywhere in the world.
Internazionale.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't have much to check in, except that I have been enjoying the full moon, the continually fulling moon. No, what's waxing? The waxing moon. It's been really, really hot here, so I've been swimming at night with the moon, and that's been really nice. Because it makes a long strip of light in my pool, and it's just a great way to cool off at the end of the day and relax. I also get up at 6 in the morning and swim before the sun's on the pool. Then I have to wait in great frustration all day because I'm not supposed to be in the sun, because I have blood pressure medicine that makes me burn. If I'm like in 5 minutes, I burn like a lobster. So that's frustrating, but it's sort of nice because then I have something to look forward to in the evening, and it makes me get up early in the morning because usually I'd be too depressed to even want to get up, but the prospect of jumping into that water is so delightful that it's been great. I'm already dreading what's going to happen when the weather's going to get cold because my huge energy is I don't know, I'll have to use it elsewhere. So over to you, Heidi. Thank you.
Yeah, we have September days is still around 30 centigrades, warm during the day. It's nice. In the morning, it's a little coolish when I have to water the garden. I don't have always to water the garden because we had a heavy rain about a week ago, so it's still quite, but you can't imagine. I finally have to take a photograph. I have one plant of long zucchinis about like this, one plant that has already given about zucchinis like that, about 60, and there are others there. I think at the end I arrive at about 100. One plant, Imagine that. It has a lot of manure. Oh, Christine is coming. That's good. A lot of manure, and it can eat a lot, but still, I've never seen one plant to do all that. Good, Christine, that you made it to come. Wonderful. As for the topic, body, mind, spirit, soul, and whatever, for me, it's fine. In the last, let's say, during summer, we could say. Yeah. So, Christine, we all have checked in. Will you do your check-in?
Sure. Christine in Carlsbad, California. I'm getting ready for a trip to the East Coast. Looking forward to it. About 2.5 weeks. I'm gonna do kind of a whirlwind. The purpose is I'm going to a high school reunion in New Jersey, and I think I mentioned this last time because Monia was asking me about where in New Jersey. I remember this now. So I'm leaving on Saturday, and yeah, looking forward to it. It's nice to be back on the East Coast during the fall. I don't think we'll have foliage in September. There won't be foliage yet, but it'll be nice. It'll be nice to see friends and family. And other than that, things are going pretty good. Can't think of anything in particular. Politics is terrible, but that's nothing to talk about. Uh, yeah, I'm doing well. So, yes. What's our topic today?
Yeah, so Monia, you suggest what you wanted. I think I didn't hear another topic except that there is some body things and some mind things. Gina, positive mind thing. Victoria, body. So we could talk about these things. But first, I do a little check-in. Oh no, I did. Ha! Before you came, so it's fine. We just go into the topic. Monia, would you like to expand and start?
Okay, I'm wondering, should we do first the body, everybody, and then the mental, and then, yeah, so we could compare. Well, my body, I have been going to the fitness center now for 5 weeks, and I still don't notice much of a change, but the only thing I really noticed that when there's one instrument, you sit on it and you press your pelvic, and there I really succeeded in two more levels. So I'm very proud of myself. Okay. Otherwise, I noticed that I'm very careful how I walk about, because a friend of mine, she slipped on the steps of the pharmacy and broke her pelvic bone. So it's really, she has to be in the hospital now. It's just terrible. And she's about 2 years younger than I am, and that's really depressing. Yeah, so I give on to whoever wants. Gina, you are next to me on the screen.
Well, I would say it's been a quiet time in that I've expected my August to be quite different in terms of my activity level. And we haven't had the activity level that I would expect, in part because I was doing revisions on my proposal. So I was tying myself once again to the desk instead of getting up. But so I sort of feel like it's in a resting mode. Both my husband and I think we're just recovering from COVID, so that's slowed us down a fair bit this week. But there's this sort of coming to terms with trying to get to the point of relaxation again and releasing tension, and hoping that soon I will be able to do that in the outdoors, because I'm not spending the amount of time, especially this time of year when it's so beautiful. Yeah, but just that caution, that little bit of caution, and being aware and respecting the body and taking care of it. So yeah, it's kind of flaky, but that's what all I got.
I could continue. I'm quite fine. I'm always outside when it is possible and doing things in the garden, not during the day because it's too warm, but in the morning, 2 hours more or less, and in the evening, an hour or 2 hours, depends. Still, I noticed that my force, which I had whole day when I worked on the ground, has gone. It's not, I don't have muscles anymore. And then when I use the machines, then I get hurt in the shoulders, because of this things like the mowing machines and stuff. But I still like to do all that. So, and I can do it. It's not that I can't do it, but then afterwards, okay. And then I have some problems with the stomach, but I have realized that it depends also on nervous system, on psychological things going on. When I'm fine, then it's fine. And as soon as I'm nervous or something like that, then I feel it. So I eat a lot of Heilerde. What is it in English? This is sort of clay you use for inside to absorb the acidity. And this takes me along. I don't take any pills. I take a lot of supplements, but no medicine at all. And whenever I go to a doctor, which is very rare, and he might not know me, and he says, "What medicines do you take?" None. Huh? Because in our age, normally people have 10 or more medicines. So I'm glad about that I don't need it. And about the awareness of not falling, I had a guest here. He is here for 28 years. He's coming. It's a friend, and he's always sitting there with his computer, blah, blah. And this summer, it rained. And so he came down and wanted to save the computer, and he fell and broke 3 ribs. So it doesn't depend on age, you can fall all the time and do some things which you wouldn't expect. But I'm very aware when going down the steps and, over the fields where are all these grasses with long, how do you say, when you can get caught into these things. So I'm very attentive, and also about this level. We have the wild pigs who are doing holes, and so you need to be attentive not to fall into these. So that's my altogether fine. Some little things, let's say. That's my report. Victoria?
Well, let's see. We're on the body. Actually, yeah, I already talked about my swimming, so I won't repeat that. It's not that interesting anyway. But I do. This is a perfect opportunity. I have a very weird and wonderful and crazy doctor, new doctor. I became immediately infatuated with her, and now I think she's kind of a quack. But anyway, she's still beautiful and fabulous. She assigned me as a prescription, literally, it was on my chart, and I couldn't make another appointment with her till I read it. This book, which is called, oh, I'm blurred, but I'll write it in the chat. It's called The Way Out, and it's by a licensed clinical social worker, Alan Gordon. Anyway, it's made a huge splash in the, I don't know if you've heard of it, Christine, because it's circulating widely in the kind of the therapy world, because he's a therapist and not a neuroscientist and not a doctor. But he has been researching for decades chronic pain, and has decided that the major source of chronic pain is neuroplastic. I think now I've already forgotten it. I did read the book, but I read it really fast because I wanted to see the doctor again. Anyway, she's following up with therapy sessions. She just did a training in it. That's how seriously she's taking it as a doctor. And she sent a prescription for me to get training with someone who was trained in this. It's a new kind of therapy. And so I looked into it. She wrote the prescription out, and there's only one woman in San Diego who does it, and she charges $1,500 an hour. So my doctor was really smart. She did the training over the summer herself. And now, because she's so gung-ho about it, she really believes in it. So she's doing it as you just have 4 consecutive appointments with her, which of course is covered by insurance because she's a regular doctor. And anyway, I I won't go into a long thing because it would take hours, but the upshot is when I first read the book, I was immediately convinced that indeed all of my physical afflictions are neuroplastic, and all I have to do is train my brain according to the therapeutic model that he established, and then I'd be home free. Well, that was in my initial sort of honeymoon phase. Now I'm thinking there are some structural things wrong with me, like arthritis, which I can think positively till the cows come home and I'm still going to have arthritic thing. But there is a lot of, I mean, what I've experienced just subjectively is there is a lot of truth in it. And a lot of it's based on fear. And so anyway, it's really interesting. I'll write the information in the chat if you want to look up the book. But it's funny because I didn't want to buy it because I have 11,000 books in my garage and I don't know what to do with them. So I get all my books out of the library, and there were like 250 holds on this book. So it's like a big deal. And then miraculously in the little county library here, that the word hadn't spread as quickly. It's not a brand new book, but it's relatively new. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much time, but it's been a really interesting way of revisiting the body and how we relate to it. So I'll be quiet now and pass over to, have we all done the body now? I think it's back to Monia with the mind. Or are we still doing body? Oh,
Christine,
Christine's body. Okay, I'm sorry. Over to your body, Christine.
I've had 2 friends who recently fell downstairs. One wasn't badly injured, but she's in pain. The other one was hospitalized and had a head injury with it. So, yeah. Um, so falling is always a concern. Um, I exercise a lot, so physically I'm pretty active, but I have an appointment this week because I've had a pain in my heel, and I'm suspecting maybe it's a stress fracture. Um, I've had it for 3 weeks. I kind of waited and waited and waited, didn't want to have to go to the doctor because it seems somewhat minor. But after weeks of it not really getting better, I thought I'd better at least check it out. Which is weird because I'm going to the doctor on Wednesday and I'm on a plane on Saturday. So I don't know what much that is going to help me about that, but I guess it's good to know what's going on. Um, and then I'm going to have a surgery in January. I will have a ovarian cyst removed. And so I'm prepping for that surgery by getting some testing done and some pre-op appointments with the surgeon. So it's going to be laparoscopic. At least they're not going to have to cut me open. That's good. So minimally invasive in that way. But I don't like general anesthesia because I think it does hurt your brain. Um, and the older you are, I think the more it affects us and our cognitive functioning. So that's the part that troubles me the most is just the anesthesia. Sanjay Gupta, you probably know who he is, Victoria, the physician. He's on CNN. Sanjay Gupta, he's pretty famous. He just did a special on chronic pain and mindfulness and psychological. I mean, that is becoming, when I say recently, it's been around for a long time, but for some reason there seems to be a resurgence of looking at psychological interventions for chronic pain. And yeah, it's all about how the brain interprets the signals. I mean, the brain does the interpreting. Um, and it seems he breaks down how mindfulness can help with certain types of pain, whether it's more chronic pain or acute, or what type of pain it is, nerve versus muscle. There's different ways of looking at it. But yeah, that seems to be a resurgence of people interested in this area, which is great. Needs a lot more work. So, what else? Yeah, I'm doing okay. My heel that's bothering me hasn't really slowed me down too much, which maybe is a problem. Maybe I should be putting my feet up more and seeing if that makes a difference. But yeah, I'm stubborn that way. Okay, and that's my check-in with physical.
Yeah, but you led already over to the mind part. So who wants to continue with the mind? What's the mind doing? And what is the connection to the physical and to the spiritual also?
I just wanted to jump in for 1 second to while Christine, to follow up on that. I've had excruciating pain in my heel since the beginning of June, and it turned out it was plantar fasciitis, an acute case, and I'm still struggling with it because I didn't know what it was, and I didn't go to the doctor, and I walked and walked and walked and walked, and so it became acute, and there's no cure except treatment. I mean rest and ice and the usual stuff. So I just wanted to put that in now because I feel so empathetic because I'm really still suffering, and it came on in actually I think like in May already. And because I didn't know what it was and I didn't treat it properly, which is why I'm doing tons and tons of swimming because it take exercising the foot because I can't walk right now. Anyway, I just wanted to alert you, Christine, because you're going to be traveling, and I've actually been using wheelchairs in the airports because you can, and I am in so much pain, and it makes a huge, huge difference even for the standing parts, like when you're waiting for security. So anyway, sorry to take up time with this, but I just felt so empathetic. I had to jump in with that. And it'll help the mind too, of course, to have less pain.
I forgot to mention that I have been using for 3 nights now a tape that keeps your mouth shut. So you just breathe through your nose. It worked, but I haven't noticed much difference. But I'm trying to, maybe I'm a little more alert in the morning. So maybe that helps, breathing through your nose and not snoring. With regard to the mind, actually, I was thinking about what mental exercise. I have been reading Robert Anton Wilson, and he's sort of postmodern, tongue-in-cheek all the time, and yeah, it's amazing how he really. There's nothing that escapes his. It's not cynicism, but it's close to that, and it's not a book that makes me happy, but I keep continue reading it. It's the third part of the Cosmic Trigger, and this one is about my life after death, because somebody wrote an obituary and how he continued after that, proving that he was still alive. So that is quite interesting. But he also writes about some of his best friends dying, and he really mourns for them. So mourning is just, yeah, the grief of losing someone. Maybe that's the mental state I'm sort of preparing for right now. Yeah. Okay, I pass on to whoever wants.
Oh, so just sort of continuing on that, one of the things I was really looking forward to was the reduction in stress and what the impact of that on me was, and what my brain is going to fill up with otherwise. And what I'm finding is that I'm thinking more along the terms of how much runway do you have in life? And so I'm just, again, back to dealing with the reality of mortality. And how our society doesn't really prepare us for that. And when people go and you don't know your timeline. So I'm like, okay, so maybe we have to be a little bit more active about what does this time look like, even if it's in small chunks. And so if I was to say, okay, if I'm granted 10 more years, what do I want to do in 10 more years? And it isn't about big accomplishments, or it's not anything it was when you were young. It's more like, how do I want to spend my time so I can say I had a life well lived? And what does that look like? So I'm just sort of starting in there, and I think part of it is still dealing with the reality of dealing with my dad's estate is a constant presence because it's complicated. But I'm becoming very aware of possessions and not wanting to have them, and what we accumulate over a lifetime, and what it's like for somebody else to deal with your accumulation. As I used to say when I'm talking to my clients, I'm like, do your own dishes. Nobody, you shouldn't leave any dishes in the sink when you pass away. But it's really about what are we doing, and how do we make the reality not something to fear, and to just something a little bit more positive. And I go to the Swedish death cleaning as one option of just lightening. How do we lighten our load? How do we free ourselves? How do we focus on other things, and being healthy? And I don't know, it's kind of drifty, but it's very much a preoccupation for me, is this dealing with mortality, because many people in my family have lived very long lives. My aunt just passed away, but she passed away at 88, same age as my dad. It's pretty good. So when I read about somebody passing away at 74, I get a little uncomfortable because that's a little too close. I'm like, that's less than my fingers. Um, so it's just a very strange thing, and yet there's probably something very healthy about accepting it. And I think that's where my head is trying to make that a healthy acceptance.
I think I can chime in here. And it's not only for death and accepting it, but I'm working on accepting life. And this is not so easy. And I'm repassing my life. I'm doing the gene key, the golden path sequence. And there you are prompted to look into these things. And I think, oh, okay, that's good to repeat a little bit what was going on in your life, and why did you choose this way and not another way, and so on. And so, yeah, accepting death will be when it's time. But at the moment, I try to learn accept life, and somehow get out of negativity and go into love. That would be my next goal. Be more open, be more joyful, be more heartfelt, be more vulnerable, all these things. This is my topic now. And it is a connection between mind and body and spirit, all three at the same time. I give over to who wants.
Heidi, did you get my email where I sent the transcript and the links to the, maybe we could decide down the road to do that, but yeah.
Sorry, I forgot it. We can send it around to everybody. I forgot completely.
Yeah, that's okay. And it talks about the best years of your life, and science tends to show that people who are older are happier than younger people. And they're also more focused on the present because they don't know how long their future is, so they don't dwell on the future like younger people are always making long-term plans, and older people tend not to do that, but enjoy, they're just more present focused, which I think is true for me. I think my long-term goals mentally are more, keep my brain as healthy as possible. and to look more into spiritual avenues. That's kind of where my mental processes wanna lead me. Yeah, but every time I forget a word or, lose track of something or I've lost something, of course, it's always like, my memory. But a lot of that's just typical for getting older. It's hard to tell at what level, it rises to something significant in terms of how often it happens. But yeah, I pay attention to those kinds of things in terms of my health. And I'm trying to, from a mindfulness perspective, I think the other mental thing I'm trying to do is be less judgmental. I'm at Enneagram 1, so I'm always evaluating things and trying to reform things, and I'm trying to be much less of an Enneagram 1 and more of an Enneagram 7, where I'm an enthusiast and enjoying stuff. So yeah, that's where I am mentally.
I have a question, Christine, that's really interesting because I've never really officially studied the Enneagram, although I pretended to a number of times. I mean, pretended to in the sense that during the pandemic, I went on virtual Enneagram retreats, which were only allowed to people that were experienced. I was kind of an imposter. Anyway, because I never actually studied it, I never was identified officially by anybody, but I thought I was a 1. It seemed totally clear to me for a million reasons, which I won't go into, but I think you all know me well enough to guess. And then my teacher, I mean, she was the one who was leading these retreats, did this spontaneous phone call with me once where she just asked me like a million questions and she didn't say what they were about or why. And I just answered all the questions. And then she said, "You're not a 1, Victoria, you're a 7." And she said, "You're absolutely a 7." And so anyway, just now you said this thing about 1 and 7. It just made me curious because I flashed back to that. I mean, I don't want to like detour this whole conversation, but that made me really curious because I remember that I'd forgotten about that connection. I mean, what is the connection? I guess that's what I'm asking. Without doing a whole session.
Yeah, with when ones are healthy and kind of being their best selves, they can include aspects of 7. So they balance the seriousness and kind of the need for a lot of structure and concern about roles and rights and how things are going, trying to make the world a better place constantly. They switch to more enjoyment, and the 7 is the person who's the enthusiast and enjoys life. And then under stress, the 1 goes to 4, and the 4 is kind of that individualist who feels somewhat isolated. Well, people can pipe in if they think of it differently, but the 4 under stress, the 1 goes to the 4, and that's kind of feeling a little bit isolated and feeling like nobody quite understands you, and a need to be kind of unique. Yeah, so there is a primary type, but if you're doing well, you might express yourself in another one of your wings or one of your other types. So
I guess I was
I was
doing well that
wondering,
day.
isn't the 4 the artist?
the artist, yes.
The artist is the 4, because I would think that Victoria is a 4. But anyway, so
I would say Victoria more as a 4 because I am a
yeah.
4. And I'm a self-preserving 4. That means hiding the emotions normally, while there is the sexual 4. It's like the drama queen. Oh, this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening. Oh, and so bad, everything bad, and this doesn't work, and this doesn't work. The 4 is the one who is seeing the glass half empty and not half full.
Oh,
In the
that's just like me.
In fact, I think you are a 4 and you are not a 7. I don't see you as a 7.
You're a 4, yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway,
Well, I just realized, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swerve off the course here, but I just realized the person I was referring to as my teacher is Christine King, who of course came here regularly for a while. I don't know what's happened with her. I've her email address sort of evaporated, and we texted for a while, but even that was erratic. So I hope she's okay. Anyway, if she ever
Any-
comes, don't tell her I was an imposter for all those.
No, I don't see you as a 4. I have studied the 4 quite well, and as I know that I am 1 and I saw all this, I'm working on it to get the glass half full, and somehow it works. It's working. This is mentally, but also physically, because the tendency is as soon as something happens with your body, then you think, oh, what can happen? What will be, blah, blah, blah. And when you go into it, really observe what is going on and not believe what your mind is telling you, then normally when you feel into the most of the things, when you feel into them, they sort of evaporate. They can't stay in a surrounding where they cannot stick on something. If you don't give them voice, oh, I can't do that, and this is too heavy, and this is no, and this no, 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 and I feel like this, and no, decide to other thing, and then miraculously you find out that it is working, and then afterwards you are happy. So I work on it for 20 years, so some result.
this reminds me of one of my favorite quotes of the last months by Timothy Leary, who said, if you want to be happy, be happy.
Mm.
And he managed it. So he was imprisoned, and then he still came out with his Irish grin, and yeah, he decided to be happy, so he was happy. And this is something I'm practicing right now. So,
Well, it's like Nelson Mandela is such a great example. I mean, it's phenomenal. The minute I got out of prison, I would have shot everyone in South Africa, like indiscriminately. Like I would have just got this automatic weapon and been done with it. But he came out joyfully and was like transformed into this amazing being that yeah, I'm working on it too. I don't know. Please don't mention the automatic weapon to anybody, especially in the United States. But I have to say that that's for me the scary thing, that I have so much rage, and I realize every time I hear about one of these mayhem situations, I think, there but by the grace of God go I. And literally, there but by the fact that I never went out to get a weapon, which is why, the whole weapon thing I think is such a crucial thing in our country, that because we all have that capacity to just go crazy if we're really enraged, if something really provokes us. And so anyway, I feel like I'm detouring constantly today, so I'll try to be quiet.
you scare me, Victoria. There are depths in you that
Well,
far away, she cannot reach you, Monia.
I don't have a weapon.
And you couldn't shoot over the ocean. That's just too far, a little bit. Christine, you wanted to say something?
The whole idea of mental fortitude, how come somebody like Nelson Mandela can have such an extreme experience and be subjected to so much, not even just negativity, I don't know, torture or whatever he had to go through. And it seems like the idea of having a higher purpose, of really being committed, some kind of values that help people get through that, as well as obviously they have to be mentally healthy to begin with, because some people really can get crushed by small things happening in their lives, and it's crushing to them. I see this all the time, people who really react strongly to things that are kind of minor setbacks. So it's always fascinating to see how people mentally kind of constitute something as a negative versus a positive, something they grow from and utilize on their own behalf or the behalf of the world versus feeling crushed by it. It's pretty interesting. I don't have any major answers after watching people, but I've just observed it and tried to help, but certainly I can't pretend to explain it, that's for sure.
But that's where the mind body thing, I think I mean, that's one of the big intersections that that my therapist is always reminding me that if, you know, because I keep trying to practice mindfulness and I have this rabbit brain and I can't seem to do it. And my therapist keeps saying, you know, it's mental hygiene is, if anything, you know, even more important than physical hygiene, because that's how you survive. And she keeps saying to me, you know, if you can brush your teeth and bathe, you should be able to sit and meditate or be mindful or do some, you know, it doesn't matter what the modality is, but to you know, to keep the mind well and pure. But it's really a struggle, I think,
Oh,
especially because we have this mind body bifurcation.
Victoria, you have your violin. When you play violin, can be a meditation. You don't need to sit
If
on
my
the.
brain would settle down.
Hmm?
I said it could be if my brain would settle down, but once I actually fell asleep playing the violin and I dropped it. Unfortunately, being mindful with the violin is just like anything else for me. It's still it's a discipline. It's anyway, I think Gina, were you about to say something, Gina? You looked I was going to say pregnant, but that's
Thanks. I got asked that a couple of years ago. I was congratulated.
oh,
Like,
I went decades of that.
and I'm like, yeah, thanks. No. No, I was just thinking about where how you create those circumstances, and I think that the arts is one way to do it. And I don't really I have minor talents, so I can't draw. I have a harp, but I haven't played it since COVID. Um, but there's something about calming down that reptile brain, and um, that's my challenge as well. And so I try to tell myself, you know, you're on this little blue planet that's going really fast and it's spinning around the earth, and what you're thinking about right now doesn't really matter as you're going around the sun. Like, don't drag everything with you. Like, be like a meteor and let it burn off. Let the dust stay behind. But it's a challenge. And I think, you know, once you find something that can give you that, it can help settle down. I used to do a lot of meditation. It was really great, but I've switched into task orientation, and I think that um, that's why when we go out in the boat, it's so much better, because all you're really doing is looking at the water, and maybe you're lucky and an orca will show up or an eagle or something, but just that environment where you're don't feel compelled to do. And I think that's where I would find the peace. Like, I sometimes find peace in doing, like, if I do this, then I'll relax. um, but it's almost like this barter, like, okay, you can relax, go sit in your swing if you do this first. So it's a interesting trade-off, but something that I'm looking forward to trying to address while I'm doing my thesis, is just finding that balance, because having more control over my life, I'm going to stop working with our Coast Guard. I don't have classes. I just, quote, just have to work on my thesis. But I think there's going to be something about getting that control back over how you spend your day and how you spend your time. And like my husband said, oh, just, you know, Gina, 9 o'clock, the good time to walk the beach. And I'm like, that's a really good idea. We should definitely walk the beach, because it's just down the street. It's easy. But making the time for that versus always being task oriented. And I think that's how you can get our minds more quiet, at least for me.
I can switch in here because I think I'm on the way. I'm not task-oriented anymore. I do the necessary things. I discover that I have very little resistance anymore against the things I need to do. I sort of enjoy doing them when I need to do them. And if I don't need to do them, I don't do them. And I ever more relax and do other things. Like the occupation with the gene keys is perfect because it's not only mind, but it's also contemplative. It is spiritual work. And sometimes I enter into a different state of consciousness. And then
I'm sorry, Heidi, I missed what you said that does that for you. I'm sorry.
the gene keys, Richard Rad, gene keys, the keys
Okay.
which are working on your genes and
Okay.
unlocking your gift, let's say. The
Mhm.
idea is that there are 3 levels of energy, the shadow level, the gift level, and then there's the so-called city level, the highest development of your potential. But together with you have 11 main gene keys for you personally, and it's based on I Ching, so 64 ways of wisdom, and it's really a way of being in the mind and being out of the mind at the same time. And I can only recommend that, but you need to read it not like a scientific text, and then it wouldn't work. And I do it now for about 3 or 4 months, almost every day. Contemplation, you think back, you come back to that. Now you are in the shadow of, for instance, intellect is a shadow from which gets to clarity and then to impeccability. This is the city. And I also noticed when I'm very calm, then things come out of my mouth which are very clear and very to the point. But when I'm not calm, then I and the mind is spinning. And this is the shadow level of this gene key, you know. So I can only recommend that. That's really, really, really interesting. But you need to put some time in. You cannot just read it and then forget it.
But you're
come-
doing it, it's self-study for you?
Yeah, it is a
Self-study.
self-study thing. You can talk with other people about it, yeah, but you have to study it yourself. And one of the things is, as I said, to revisit the parts of your the years of your childhood, of your young years, from 1 to 7 is developing the spiritual IQ, SQ, I don't know what the Q means in this moment. Something like IQ, quotient. Is it quotient? Quotient, the intelligent IQ, what does the Q mean?
Oh, like IQ. So it's an EQ, emotional intelligence. They put other things besides the I. IQ is emotion
Quotient. It means quotient. The Q means quotient.
quotient. Yeah.
The spiritual one, it's the most difficult one. It's created between 0 and 7 years. The emotional one is created in your between 8 and 14. And the IQ, the intelligence one, between 14 and 21, more or less. This is the idea. And so you revisit this part and see how it is. This is one of the tasks you are doing, no? And then you see, that has formed there. And so on. Then you find moments in your life, and then it's spinning itself. So it's not a teaching. You have to figure that out by yourself. And I can only recommend it.
That's interesting. That has the 7 years. My late husband based his entire art historical work on 7-year cycles.
Yeah.
And he was constantly scoffed at by colleagues until they actually tested out all of his theories, with other methods on, I mean, he was an art historian, that was his thing, but and a connoisseur. But he was always right. And so after a while, they had to think, okay, maybe, maybe it's an unorthodox way of arriving at these conclusions, but the conclusions, so that's really interesting because he based everything on 7-year cycles.
Yeah, this is not very unusual because there are many theories, let's say, who are based on 7-year cycles. So even old, let's say, indigenous teachings are based on 7-year cycle. That's nothing strange. But in this case, is because it's connected with the development of your intellect and your spirituals and your emotion development. So that's why I said it.
I need to say, I've got to leave. I've got a 10 o'clock client that I have to get ready for. But I will not be here in 2 weeks because I'll be still on the East Coast. But maybe in 4 weeks, we can, if Heidi is still interested, she can send out the transcript and the link, and everybody can maybe study it for maybe not next time, but the time after that. Okay.
Good to see you, Christine. Oh, Heidi, you're muted.
I wanted to ask her to do a quick checkout, but she is.
Oh, you were talking, but you were muted for a second. So
it happens even to me after all these years. I'm doing this, and it happens.
now Monia's gone.
One is back. Yeah. Okay.
There she is. Oh,
She was. It is an interesting period of time, and we are concerned with important topics, all of us. Maybe different aspects of it, but yeah, I'm very curious how the future will unfold without too much expectations. It's just, let's see how it works out. That would already be my checkout, and I'm really faithful is maybe the wrong confident that it will work out well sooner or later.
well, then that's the glass half full, Heidi.
Yeah.
My checkout would be that I've become very much aware that we are all task oriented and conditioned, and I'm now really practicing being in the here and now. At my age, it's easier because I just like to sit and, oh, now I'm in the here and now. And of course, I do have a lot of tasks, and they usually take up a lot of my energy. But still, I don't feel guilty anymore for just being. So this is what awaits all of you, I hope. Okay, that was my checkout. And see you in 2 weeks.
So I'll say my checkout is I have a very good friend coming on Wednesday, and she will help me be less focused on the things I have been focused on. So it'll be good. She'll be with us until we go to Europe, and we go to Europe on the 25th of this month. So when you've got a friend around, you can't ignore her when she comes all the way here. So that'll be good for me. That's my checkout.
Very good. Thank you. Victoria, you have gone. You do a checkout. Oops. We don't see you anymore. So we do it. Ah, here she
Oh,
comes.
there she is. She just moved.
Okay.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise in the house right now. I had to move to another room. My checkout is, what is my checkout? Oh, now it's dark in here. Okay. My actual checkout is just that I really, I'm so grateful for this group, and I've been feeling really lonely lately, which is ironic because I seem to be surrounded by people all the time, but that might be the quintessential existential loneliness. So I'm just, yeah, it's just wonderful to see you all, and hope to see you next time. Yeah, I think I can see you next time. I'm embarking on 2 residential Buddhist retreats that I didn't realize they were so close together. I've only done something for 3 days, which I hated. So this is really daunting. These are going to be a week each. So, anyway, but I think I'll see you before I go away. And if not, maybe I get lost in the forest somewhere if you never see me again. I don't have the dates in my head. Anyway, thank you, everybody. And
Week, good 2 weeks, good time. Bye bye.
bye-bye.